Here's the three freedoms that I crave and I think everyone craves: time freedom, financial freedom, and creative freedom. And if you have all three, you've hit the mother lode. You've hit the jackpot, but you have to create those three freedoms for yourself.
You don't have to have a crystal clear plan, but what do you have to have?
The thing that you have to have is results in something. People get caught up with this certification craze, but testimonials trump certifications every day of the week.
You're right. People are so worried about the credential. The credential is the result.
You got to think about what you have results in and what you can serve other people in by sharing that process. Time is my most precious commodity. I'm going to give you 20 minutes of my time.
It's free 20-minute coaching session with Cary Jack.
I call them a happy hustle huddle.
A happy hustle huddle. And all you have to do is
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Unlock Your Potential. This is Jeff Lerner, your host. Always thrilled to be back with you, having amazing conversations with amazing humans. Today, we are joined by Cary Jack. He's a lifestyle entrepreneur. He runs the Happy Hustle podcast, which is in the top 0.5% global rankings for podcasts. I was a guest with Cary on that show. It's been a few weeks, and we had a great conversation. Really hit it off. So I'm excited to just kind of pick up where we left off. Cary runs 3 successful companies. He is, as I mentioned, a podcaster, an author, a founder of The Happy Hustle. He runs some really cool masterminds. He's a model, actor, biohacker, martial artist, humanitarian, eco-warrior, does it all, and somehow manages to do it all in 20 hours a week or less. I need to download that protocol, however that works. Cary, so much we have to talk about, and I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff. Thank you so much for having me, man. Honored to be here.
Grateful to have you. And again, I really loved our conversation a few weeks ago. I don't even remember. Time all melds together. I don't remember exactly how long it was. I know it was less than a month. And we got into some stuff, and it was great. And I just want to pick up those threads and run with them here for the audience. And by the way, if anybody get a chance, go listen to the Happy Hustle podcast. And I do encourage you to start with my episode, but there are a lot of other great ones too. Maybe even, I won't say as a primer, because if you're already here listening to this, stay here and finish this and then go catch up on that. But you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Anyway, that was great. And we got into really, I feel like the deep end of the pool about entrepreneurship and really just carving the path of a life less ordinary in this world and not doing the same old grind that most people do. It's not all happy hustling. Happy hustling is the goal, right?
Yep.
So maybe talk about your journey. How did like you have a crazy journey? I read you used to be a smoothie barista, and they made you wear a banana suit. You were a soccer camp counselor. Like, you did not start out rich and famous to begin with. So how'd you get here?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely wore the banana suit at not one smoothie shop, but 2. And I've done a lot of things in exchange for money. Some I'm not proud of, some illegal, some required me taking my clothes off. We'll think of a less choreographed version of Magic Mike. But it's been a journey, man. And, for me, I was born to 2 entrepreneurial parents, so I feel blessed in that capacity. However, my childhood wasn't peaches and cream. There was emotional, physical, mental abuse. Sure. There was a pretty terrible divorce, and I got involved in, some crime. It was doing some illegal distribution of things. And, I don't get into it too much, but I did end up going to jail and saw, the life that I was destined to live if I kept on that path. So I ended up pivoting, and I really, I said, I'm going to happy hustle in alignment and have full integrity. Now, at the time, I didn't say happy hustling or, in alignment. I just was like, I know this ain't it, so I'm going to do something else. Mm-hmm. I've always been an entrepreneur, though, at heart. And, I've had 4 failed ventures, one that I failed on my own doing, but it was on track to be quite successful. We had a tech startup in New York City, my brother and I, and we were grinding our face off, man, like 18 months of hard work. We built this algorithm all around feedback and quantifying it. and it had a lot of merit in multiple different industries. Got the attraction of some pretty big investors, partnerships with IBM and Microsoft, got a 7-figure VC funding deal on the table. And it was come time to sign the paperwork and sign away 5 years of our life in the process, because if someone's going to give you that much money, they want to make sure you're in it to win it.
Right.
So after a pretty gut-wrenching conversation, my brother and I, we said, you know what, this ain't it, man. We got to pivot again and do something that's more aligned, more impactful, more fulfilling. And so I ended up folding the company, said no to the partnerships and the money. And I moved to Bangkok, Thailand for about a year. And it was in Thailand that I figured out a better way to work and live in alignment and to put the happy in my hustle. And that's really where the Happy Hustle was born and where I started to really look at life more holistically and the balance between personal and professional endeavors and how you can really be happy in the everyday hustle. So that's a little snippet.
Yeah, there's a lot to, I think a lot to dig into there. It's funny you mentioned Thailand. So one of the happiest, hustlingest guys I know is actually, and he actually may see this. He's one of our video editors at Entra, Joey. His name's Joey.
Shout out, Joey.
Yeah, what's up, Joey? So Joey is in Bangkok right now. He's happy hustling. He just took his rig to Bangkok and he's living in Thailand for I don't even know when he's coming home. I don't even know if he knows when he's coming home. But he's there now, and he's illustrative of kind of this way of living. I'm married, 4 kids. I can't just up and move to Thailand, but at least it would take some doing anyway. But the point is, I think that, I really think about the audience a lot. I mean, I think any good podcast host should probably think about their audience every now and again. But I think about it, like, to the average person, like you said, oh yeah, I moved to Thailand and I did some entrepreneuring there. I don't even, who knows? Like, that sounds super normal to me, right? Like, I know all kinds of people that, whether it's Thailand or it's, we know a lot of people that live in like Puerto Rico. We know a lot of people that live in Costa Rica. There's these entrepreneurial, digital entrepreneurship kind of enclaves all over the world. And you and I both know a lot of these people. But to the average person out there, forgive the term, but like, the idea of just up and moving to Thailand for a while, like, that sounds so foreign to most people. And yet, what I hope that part of what this podcast serves to do for the call it the mainstream out there that doesn't live on this digital entrepreneurial fringe like you and me, is to realize, like, in the world today, if you want to move to Thailand, you can move to Thailand. Like, you can go to Thailand, and as long as you have an internet connection and a laptop, there's ways to make a living.
Yep.
And like, that's not like, you're not crazy. I'm not like, this isn't like things that only other people or only weird, bizarre people do. Like, it's a normal thing. And to me, the tragedy in a lot of cases is that, like, a lot of people that maybe just, it's not normal to them, it's not part of their normal, like, they're gonna die someday. And they're going to be laying there on their deathbed thinking about all this stuff they could have done. And I'm not saying everybody needs to move to Thailand. I'm just saying everybody should do what they want to do.
Amen.
Figure out how to make it work. So anyway, with that big soliloquy from Jeff, talk to me about your time in Thailand, man. What shifted? And what were you doing?
Yeah, well, for me, I was mainly just decompressing from the burnout that I experienced. Initially, like, going from working 100+ hour weeks and just grinding my face off like a dog, I was just.
And that was in New York. That was in New York.
Yeah. So okay. I needed to decompress. Yeah. So when I went to Thailand, man, I was doing nothing really, just partying, traveling, having fun, going to Singapore, Bali, Vietnam, Cambodia. I rented an RV with a bunch of random people that I met at a hostel party. We cruised all over. Like, I was just living, man. And I had a penthouse apartment for $400 a month. Meals were like $2 a pop. You could live for cheap. So what really happened after I got out, some of that out of my system and I started to settle in, like, I want to really add value to people and see how I can serve. I just started doing like webinars on personal development and mindset and little stuff. Like, I wasn't clear on my messaging, but I realized, I can make some money online. I can do what I want, and it's fulfilling work, and that's really what I urge everyone out there listening to think about like, what does their version of success look like? What right now is your version of success? And define it clearly, because if you don't define it for yourself, someone else will give you their definition. And oftentimes society, will give you, what they think is important. For me, society gave me, the importance of being a tech founder and having this massive exit and ego and status and financial abundance and all this stuff. And sure, some of it aligned, some of it didn't. But when I really started to look at, success to me is more lifestyle entrepreneurship, doing what I want, when I want, with who I want, as much as I want, as Tony talks about. This is like what was really the mindset shift. So I just started serving. I started creating content when I was over there. And, I started building out a course, an online course. So that was the genesis.
So there's two things I want to lean into there. First of all is you talked about sort of archetypal success, right? Like there's these different models of success in society. There's like the big city, like the urban hard grinding tech founder. That's an archetype of success. That's not a real person. There's no one person that fully embodies that. I think there's some people that we think are like, kind of roughly represent it, but there's no person that is that. That's just an idea. Mm-hmm. It's a character. It's a character that exists in the collective of our minds, right? There's another archetypal, success character that's like, I don't know, the trial attorney, or the plaintiff's attorney that takes down big tobacco, or maybe there's another one that's like the senior VP at a Fortune 500 company, right? But like none of those are. I think one of the things I always say is that like the truth is an individual thing, and the lie is always a collective or a group thing, right? And that like because those are things that are essentially amalgamations of a lot of people's ideas that we've all kind of agreed upon as this thing to strive for. The fact that it's a collective thing, not an individual thing, actually means it's fundamentally a lie. It's not true. And that what I'm hearing is that you exhausted yourself trying to achieve a version of success that was not intrinsic to you. It was actually a collective lie distilled into an archetype that no human could ever achieve. And that you almost, it sounds like you broke yourself against that and went off to Thailand to say, no, I don't care what it looks like as long as it feels like me. Mm-hmm. Is that, am I capturing it right?
Yeah, I think you nailed it, man. I mean, and for everyone, it's going to be different,
But that's the key. For everyone, it has to be different.
Exactly. Yep. That's the beauty of it too.
Yeah, I think that, success, I mean, at some level, we're in the success industry, right? Like we talk to people about how to become more successful and how to live a life that feels more successful. But what does it mean to feel more successful? Ultimately, I think it means to feel more like you're okay just being you.
Mm-hmm. Preach it.
I don't know but again, as soon as success is this external thing that you compare yourself to, you're actually making it less like you, not more like you. And that's the fallacy. So I love that. I mean, I guess to put it bluntly, did you feel more successful sitting in Thailand, creating without a plan and without even necessarily clarity about what your message was? Or did you feel more successful in a boardroom looking like a big shot, being courted with a 7-figure VC deal?
Yeah, 100% the former, Thailand. I mean, being able to have that. And here's the 3 freedoms that I crave and I think everyone craves: time freedom, financial freedom, and creative freedom. Yeah. And if some people have 1, some people have 2, rarely do people have 3, rarely. And if you have all 3, you've hit the mother lode, you've hit the jackpot, but you have to create those 3 freedoms for yourself. And that's what I did in Thailand. And that's what I still do. And that's my barometer, and that's the lens in which I make decisions based upon it. Will this give me my 3 freedoms, or will this detract from my 3 freedoms? And I think that's an important, lens for everyone to put their decisions through.
I love that. Time, money, and creativity. I have a lot. Yeah. I mean, we really align around this idea of creativity as an intrinsic element of success. I really believe that if you're not creating something that's uniquely and indelibly you, then you're leaving in some degree, you're leaving no evidence that you actually mattered in this world. You could die and to some sense, it would not have mattered that you were here if you didn't create anything.
Yeah. Well, and oftentimes different is better than better. So be different, be unique, and really think about like, what is your uniqueness and how you can exploit that in the service of others, as Larry Winget talks about.
So that brings me, I said there were two things I wanted to drill into, and you just brought us to the second one. So you're in Thailand and you're like, man, I'm gonna do webinars. I'm just gonna talk about some stuff that I'm feeling or I'm into. But you said you didn't have any clarity around your messaging. You didn't have a brand. You talk to me about that, because to me, this is where the rubber meets the road of like how to get the life that you could possibly have that you may not think you know, a lot of people think like, oh, that life's, you know, everybody else's dreams may come true, but mine won't. Like that, I can't have that. But where the rubber meets the road, where people opt out inadvertently is not believing that what you're about to, or what you're describing is actually possible. That you can start putting out, we call it content or value or material or whatever.
Yep.
You don't have to have a crystal clear plan.
Nope.
But what do you have to have? Talk to me about what you had that you started giving to the world, and how that evolved into a clarity that emerged into what you have now. Like talk us through your wrestling with imposter syndrome and how you started doing it anyway and how it grew into where you are now.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that you have to have is results in something. And for me at the time, I had results in goal setting and goal getting. I have been a goal setter my whole life. My mom started as very early, God bless her soul. She was like adamant on reverse engineering your goals. So I just started teaching that because I knew, hey, if I want a college scholarship, I can get that. If I want to be class president, I can get that. If I want to be a top model or actor, I can get that. And I got all those things. And I was like, how did I get those? Well, I reverse engineered the process and I got crystal clear on it. So I shared that process. Now, people get caught up with this certification craze, but testimonials trump certifications every day of the week. So I just started getting people results with their goals. I was like, listen, I can help you get your goals, you know, and that's where you got to start. You got to think about what you have results in and what you can serve other people in by sharing that process. The 23-year-old life coach, I'm sorry, I'm not listening. You know, it's just not relevant because you don't have results in life yet, right? But someone who maybe, you know, successfully nailed the SAT or whatever those things are. I didn't do great on them, but you know, I never was much for school, but you know, but I'm just saying, like, if you nailed that, you could talk about that. You know what I mean? So whatever it is for you, you got to think what you actually have results in. And my good buddy Rory Vaden talks about your best position to help who you once were 5 years ago. So think about that person. Yeah,
you know, you're reminding me. So I don't remember how long ago it was, but I had James Altucher is a friend of mine. I've been on his show and he's been on mine both a couple times. And we were talking, I don't remember when or which episode. I think it was on a podcast. I don't think it was just casually, but he was talking about his daughter. And his daughter had moved to New York. I think she moved to New York City and she was out on her own. And she was, I don't know, navigating the scene and living the life, like whatever. I don't remember what she was doing or what the context was. But what I remember was he was talking through her life with me. And we started finding all these life experiences that she had had. She was young, I want to say early 20s, that just making it on your own as an early 20-something in New York City is like, that's a result.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that when you say, because I totally agree, like you've got to have a result, you've got to have a competency, you've got to have something that someone else is trying to do that you can help them do. But you don't need to make it more than it needs to be. Your result doesn't need to be like David Goggins' result Or, we see a lot of like Navy SEALs that transition into thought leadership or influencers. Like, you don't have to have done something at that level. It can literally be, I figured out how to live in New York City on a $55,000 a year budget.
Yep.
And I'm going to create a course about it, or I'm going to create social media content about it, or I'm going to host a webinar about it, or whatever. And so your result was that you had some sort of methodology that you had proven out in your life with a couple examples of how to set a goal and achieve it.
That's it. Yeah. Simple as that.
Have a degree for like, no, right? Like where did you go to college to major in that?
The School of Life.
Exactly. There's no credential. You're right. People are so worried about the credential. The credential is the result.
Exactly. And I did go to college. I got a soccer scholarship, but the thing that I think people really do get caught up on, this grandiose, like 7-figure business. And like, if I don't have that, I'm not worthy. I can't teach anything. But there's so many valuable things that you could teach. Like, for me, like I literally built a whole business around solving the work-life balance problem. Like that's what the Happy Hustle is all about. Truly. It's like solves the problem of work-life balance, which is a very tough problem to solve, like, because it's not that tangible, but like there's no school for that. It's just like, I've figured out what works. I've replicated the process time and time and time again, so it's like, just figure out what you have a result in, teach that if you're stuck.
Yeah. And I think that, and this is one of the most consistent questions and challenges for young entrepreneurs. And I say that with, running Entre, we have thousands of people that are launching into entrepreneurship. And I think, the mind is a tricky thing, right? Like you ask somebody, give me 10 reasons why you can't do a thing. And they're pretty quick with it. Give me 10 reasons why you can do a thing. And that takes longer, right? The mind is really good at coming up with objections, whether we're buying or selling or trying to sell ourselves. And, this idea that like, I don't have a thing is probably the single biggest objection that people have to their own success is like, yeah. And so I wonder if you could, examples are so useful. So talk me through this process. You start doing webinars. First of all, how'd you get anybody on the webinar?
Social media. I think it was like Facebook posting, just like, it was just like friends and family. And like, it was, it's quiet at first, but then you build the rapport. Geez. I mean, this was, close to like 2015 maybe, or yeah.
So you make some Facebook posts. Hey guys, I'm going to be doing a webinar. Talk about what? What'd you say?
Yeah, I think I just talked about like the 3-step process to reverse engineering your goals, something. And
how many people,
like that.
How many people showed up for your first webinar?
Like I think it was around a dozen, like maybe give or take a couple.
Okay. A dozen, give or take a couple. All right. Yeah. And did you sell a course or just teach, or how'd that go?
No, I didn't even sell anything. I had nothing to sell.
Right.
I was like,
you're just building your following, building your audience.
Exactly. Yeah. I was just like, I'm going to talk about this today. If anyone wants to hear me talk about this,
And so then where'd it go from there? Walk me through the progression, if you would. And, even to the level of ridiculous detail, because I think that's what makes it real for people.
Yeah. Then I just built out like a downloadable PDF where like they had a keepsake that I could exchange for an email, which is very huge for all the people listening. Build your email list. That is just like a pivotal piece. If you want, say what?
Oh, I was saying, we call that a lead magnet.
Yeah. Lead magnet. Yeah, exactly. So, that's what one thing I caution entrepreneurs or anyone in between, like when you are building a following on, let's say Instagram, like that's rented real estate, and you hear people talking about it all the time. They get Google slapped and they lose their following overnight. Like I've had that happen to my friends. And it's like, if you don't have an email list or some type of blog or traffic that you own, it can turn off in an instant and you're really not in control. So I started building my email list, started building, just lead magnets and assets to exchange and for those email addresses. And then I eventually transitioned it into a course, like an online course.
Okay.
And how many hours a week were you working when you were just getting all this off the ground?
Oh, not that many. I was far more interested in traveling and partying.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe 5 to 10. Like,
Okay, cool. No, I think that's important because again, people think they don't have time.
oh yeah. Yeah. No, it was minimal work.
And where'd you get all your technical training? I mean, you got to have like 9 certifications to make a downloadable PDF, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I used the Google. Yeah. Is that what it is? The Google? Yeah.
The Google. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So literally, you probably built it in a Google Doc in the cloud and then exported it as a PDF.
That's it.
And then what? Put it on like Amazon, AWS hosting, or just somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I built like a very basic WordPress site or something.
Okay.
I just taught myself how to build it and, just had like this little email capture.
And so while you were playing soccer in college, you were taking, graduate courses in WordPress, right?
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So
Hopefully the audience is picking up on my recurring sarcasm here. Yet no skills, like, I don't want to say no skills required, but no formal
Yeah. Education.
accreditable skills required for any of this stuff. Like, but so now let me ask perhaps the more important question. Most people, I mean, we live in what's called the creator economy, and there's millions of young people that, and older people, I mean, millions of people that want to do this kind of stuff and want to break into this type of lifestyle friendly business model. But yet the vast majority don't. And even the majority that do don't stick with it. They don't see it through. They don't have the staying power, or they get hung up on something and they psych themselves out. Why do you think that Cary Jack, who I'm not hearing anything in your background? I mean, you had entrepreneurial parents, but it's not like they funded your first startup or something. I mean, why were you one of the few that took this thing and ran it all the way to the end zone? What do you think?
I think persistent consistency like that. I used to listen to Automobile University, which was like audio tapes back in my day, which I'm not that old, but that's
a Zig Ziglar term.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I listen to Zig Ziglar every single day, everywhere I went, him and Tony Robbins. And he was, you got to have persistent consistency if you want to win in life, And so I was just like, okay, that's what I need to do. Just not quit. And eventually you'll win. It's really not that complicated.
Yeah, you said you had 4 failures?
Oh yeah, probably more, but like 4 formal failures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true. It's one of the most, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. I think like one of the most vexing things about life is I truly believe like I could save anybody. Like, give me a person that's willing to do the work and I can save them from whatever their life is, whatever they don't like, whatever changes they want to make. But I can't save everybody because everybody just won't do it. And you can't, and it's hard to know who's who, like who's gonna and who won't and why.
Yeah. I mean, I think again, you're just speaking to the why, like you have to have the fuel to your fire. You have to have something bigger than yourself. Money's not enough. At least I've found, because that's how you get success without fulfillment. When you see a lot of very wealthy people, but they are super unhappy. Like I know a lot of friends of mine who are far richer than me, but I am so much more happy, and I'll take that trade any day of the week, and so it's like, you got to get clear on your why, what's really like motivating you. For me, again, those 3 freedoms, and then just like the selfless service component. That's a big part of my whole mission. Really giving to others, my time, my money, my expertise without the law of reciprocity at play or top of mind, really giving, but like not worrying about what's coming back to me. Like you have to think about your why when it comes time to building, because that is going to help you persist past the inevitable adversity.
So take me through then. I want to make sure we get through the story, and we've got about 15, maybe 20 minutes left. So take me through from 2015. You start getting some traction with goal setting and a downloadable PDF lead magnet. You start building your list. You built a course. And then where do we go from there?
So I had my my brand running in the background, like just low key, capturing emails, selling courses, little stuff. I then was getting hit up all the time how to break into the entertainment industry, just because I've been in it 15 plus years, acting and modeling, And so I built another course around that, was selling it for like $9.97 a pop, making some cheddar, teaching others. And it was like doing his thing. But then my buddy, he had a biohacking company deep in the biohacking game. Before it was like a fad. Now it's like ice baths are everywhere. We were like OG ice baths, like way before. We had Wim Hof on our podcast before anyone even knew who Wim Hof was. Oh. And so he asked me to join forces with him in this biohacking business. And we blew up this business. It was a 7-figure business. We did like 60,000 copies of our book through a free plus shipping funnel. We millions of, online traction and views. And we were selling 50 and 25K a year health coaching programs like hotcakes, and it was awesome. It was a great business. I was on the cutting edge of a lot of this, new technology, from stem cells to, amino acid peptides, saunas and cold plunges and all like the rapamycin and anti-aging protocols. Like we were early on all of it. And I ended up exiting that company, and I really wanted to do my own thing. I've always been an entrepreneur, and like I ended up saying, okay, I need to go full in back to my own thing. And that's where the Happy Hustle really started to take shape. All the past training and courses and everything. I said, I really feel called to solve this problem of imbalance. Like my one word problem that I truly solve for people. And I'd argue I'm up there with some of the best in the world at solving it, is imbalance. Because like I was so out of balance. All I was doing was working, and I think some people could resonate, but for me, I wanted to figure out a systematic way where I can actually track my blissful balance in real time. So that's how I created this whole soul mapping system. It's like a way to measure your balance in real time in these 10 different core areas of life. And so then I started, I built the book around it, a course around it, the podcast around it, YouTube around it, stuff like that. And that's kind of where we're at today.
Yeah, you mentioned a book. You've got, I saw it on your, I assume it's the book on your website. It's 10.
Yeah, 10 alignments.
10 alignments, that's right.
Yeah, I got it here. Yeah, 10 alignments to avoid burnout and achieve blissful balance.
Cool, and that's available at careyjack.com?
Well, the best place to get it would be thehappyhustlebook.com. Yeah.
Happyhustlebook.com, okay.
Yep.
Cool. And how long ago did Happy Hustle emerge, where you kind of had that clarity, like this is my jam, this is the, and maybe this is a question, is that the one that you want to be, like when they put it on your tombstone, like created X, that's the one that you feel like is your thing? Well,
the Happy Hustle, like I actually filed for the LLC in 2019. Yeah. So it's not that old. And I have another company that I'm very passionate about with my brother. Again, we're back in business for, it's called Eco Breakthroughs, fighting the plastic pollution epidemic and climate change. And I feel very passionate about that problem as well, just to protect our planet. I also am launching a Happy Hustle nonprofit. So like those three things probably in accordance with just being a good human and kind to others, that I'd like on my tombstone. But the Happy Hustle, I just feel so passionate about, because I was so unhappy, so burnt out. And I just want to help other people who feel that stress, that overwhelm, that imbalance, because I know I can. So that's kind of the mission now.
Yeah, it's really, first of all, way to get just ahead of the trend. I mean, in 2019, to build a brand around work-life balance, one year before the pandemic, made the top of mind conversation for everyone, work-life balance. And now post-pandemic, everybody's trying to rebalance their work and their life. Were you lucky or psychic or a little bit of both?
I mean, preparation, opportunity, right? Boom. That's what luck is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I resonate with you, because in 2019 we started our online entrepreneurial education training company.
Yep.
And now everybody, I forget what the stat is, and this is great for both of us. But I mean, I think there's like 14,000 people a day deciding to become entrepreneurs or something.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And they're doing it. And what's different now is they're not doing it because they want to get rich, although statistically you are a lot more likely to get rich as an entrepreneur than having a job. By the way, I hope everybody heard what I just said. That's real data. That's not just my opinion. And school and mainstream society wants you to believe it's the other way around. That entrepreneurs are the risky, crazy ones. We're actually the ones that might have enough money to retire someday, but that's a whole other conversation. But they're not doing it for that. They're doing it because they want balance and because they want probably your 3 freedoms.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, you have to decide what you want. And for me, I knew what I wanted after finding out what I didn't want, and sometimes that's the rocky road, but that's why Jeff and I are here talking about, this journey, so you can learn from others' mistakes and you can stand upon the shoulders of other giants out there and shortcut your success, right? Whatever that means to you.
So let me ask you this. Give me an example of a decision that you have to consider in your life where you're like, if I go this way, there's more money, but there's less freedom. And if I go this way, there's more freedom, but maybe I pass up some money. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I'm actually dealing with that like right now in the present moment.
All right.
So
I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, good question, man. Are you psychic? So anyway, the question at hand right now is, I have this soul mapping system, right? It's like this the 10 alignments of being a happy hustler. I call it, your soul's map to the blissfully balanced promised land. Selfless service is the S, optimize health is the O, U, unplug digitally, L, loving relationships, that's the soul part. And then M, mindful spirituality, A, abundance financially, P, personal development, P, passionate hobbies, I, impactful work, and then N, nature connection. And that is like the framework that I build and solve the problem of imbalance all around. I have a whiteboard fridge magnet. I have a book. We have accountability. We got a whole thing for entrepreneurs, right? It's for entrepreneurs. That's who I serve typically. And now a lot of my entrepreneur clients, colleagues, friends, people who come off the street, they're like, hey, Carey, I'd really love to implement this with my team. I'd love for you to take this and help increase our happiness and productivity inside our team by, helping, just like build this company culture. And so I'm being challenged to go B2B right now and build software and a whole 90-day program. And like, after I dove in, because I have done a lot of market analysis, there's really nothing out there like this. Like, if you've ever heard of Entrepreneur Operating System, Gino and Rocket Fuel, like that's kind of similar to what I'm potentially building. But the decision point is, okay, do I go down this B2B rabbit hole and like build out this SaaS company and like really, like go for it? And like 2 out of every 3 employees are technically disengaged and unhappy. And I'm like, God dang, that's so staggering. I could have such a far bigger impact rather than just serving the leaders. I could serve the team. And it's like, I really want to serve more people, but at the end of the day, I don't want to compromise my 3 freedoms. Right. So that's like the crux right now, Jeff, just to keep it real. So any insight or advice you got for a brother, just let me know.
Well, I mean, I can only speak to the need. So, I'll use myself as an example, and we're a unique case because we are an entrepreneurial education platform. So we're kind of, in a way, we're sort of similar to you in that we teach entrepreneurial operating frameworks, and that gives us an opportunity to try to install them internally in our team too, to say, even if you're not technically an entrepreneur per se, there's a lot you can learn from operating like an entrepreneur. Here's entrepreneurial operating systems that you can use. So we have applied that internally, and as an example of how well it can work. I mean, people love working at Entre because it's like we actually give them these frameworks for leveling up their entire life. We have, and every framework, every system has its own nomenclature, right? We have like the 3 Ps, right? Physical, personal, and professional, all oriented in alignment around your 4th P, which is your purpose. And we have a process for helping people discover that. And like, we actually use that with our teams. And so I can tell you that I have one laboratory experiment of about 200 people, and that it's amazing People love it. Enrollment is high. People love working at Entre. Like, it's all great. But also, so cross us off the list of your prospects. You know, we've got it covered. But also, we had to do it internally because I know how important it is to get people in balance and feeling on purpose and feeling aligned with where the company's goals and their personal goals can be met through the work, both, not in competition. But like that, there's no system out there. So I can speak to your TAM and tell you, like, we had to do it ourselves and we were able to do it ourselves, which makes us kind of an edge case, but there's no off the shelf thing I could have bought to do what you're describing.
Yeah. And I mean, and that right there is, you know, the deep seated like angst that I feel, because I feel a calling to serve at a deeper capacity and truly impact more and more lives through the system, through building this out. But at the end of the day, I got to remember why I did what I did. It got away from that whole model initially to build the freedom and to, you know, start the happy hustle as it is, where I get to go, you know, in the wilderness and take entrepreneurs backpacking for 5 days and go completely off the grid. And, you know, I can go fly fishing when I want and snowboarding. Like, it's like, that's, again, it's the wrestle, you know, that I'm facing.
So I love that. So I started the question with a metaphor or an image of a fork in the road, and down one path is more money and down the other path is the freedom with giving up the money. It sounds like maybe your tougher dilemma is if one path has greater impact down it rather than more money, although those very often go together.
Exactly.
You know, like Elon Musk says, we get paid in direct proportion to the complexity of the problems we solve, right?
Yep.
So that's a question so it sounds like your question, and this is, by the way, anybody that's going to embark on the entrepreneurial life, this is going to be your fundamental dilemma. You can have a greater impact at the cost of greater sacrifice. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, for me, like, deep down, I'm just going to tell you a little guilty secret here. I've already built out a whole B2B deck, and it's already been shopped to multiple CEOs for feedback. So I can tell you, I've already, like, my team and I have already explored it. I'm going to take on a couple like B2B clients and really test it before I build out the full software side. But the impact is really what is significant for me, not the money. Like, the money is nominal, truly. It's like, I know how many unhappy people are out there sacrificing their soul for a paycheck. And if I could just help them put the happy in their hustle, like, my life would be so much richer.
So I didn't want to assume, and I didn't want to project, but now that you've said it, I knew that, because you're an entrepreneur. And like at your core, if there's a massive problem that you know how to solve, and there's a business model to be had in solving it, entrepreneur, we just can't say no to that.
It's so true, man. It's true.
You know, even if it means we're gonna miss some snowboarding and miss some fly fishing for a few years. Like, I mean, I was 4 years ago when I started Entre, I was basically retired. I had sold my agency. I was 39 years old, and I was like. And I wasn't like never going to do anything again, but I was like, I mean, I had money in the bank and I was good, and I was like definitely going to chill for a few years. And then I'm like, I almost was like pissed. I'm like, damn it. There's a huge problem out there. I know how to solve it. I at least got to start scratching this itch and putting out some content. And then I put out some content, and then it's like, oh, people like the content. Maybe there's a business here. Maybe I should create a course. And it's this slippery slope where you can't not give value and solve the problem, because that's just how we're wired. But how many people out there, this is why I do this podcast, is I want people to hear authentic entrepreneurial conversations, because how many people have that impulse to make an impact, but they just don't have the vision, the practical vision, not the inspired vision, but they don't see how it would happen, or they just don't believe it would happen for them.
Yeah, or the discipline to take action. You know, that's, I think, like, I love that quote by Jocko Willink, you know, discipline equals freedom. It's something I say to myself every single day. I have these I am mantras that I recite in the morning and in the evening, and that's one of them. And I think if you want to succeed as an entrepreneur, like, I know it's cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. You have to have that discipline, and you have to have, that persistent consistency every single day. Like, there's going to be things that you have to do, in order to get to the next level. And it's going to require discipline to do them. And then hopefully you can keep replacing yourself, so you're not so much as an operator, but you actually become an owner. And that's, I think, a very big thing that a lot of entrepreneurs miss is they build a job for themselves and they're not actually a business owner. And so just cautionary tale there.
Well, I like that you give yourself you seem to have imposed some constraints on yourself that are like, and I don't know how strict it is, but hey, I'm going to work 20 hours a week, right? Well, in order to work 20 hours a week and have a successful business, you have to think like an owner. You can't allow yourself to think only like an operator, because work adheres to Parkinson's law. It will fill all the available space that you give it.
Yep.
So you obviously have that discipline. Talk to me a little bit, kind of last question, because we got to wrap, but
yeah,
you talk about discipline, and somebody might have heard you say that, but then be like, oh, well, your whole thing is you only work 20 hours a week and balance, and which is it, discipline or hard work? And it's like, no, my guess is that when Carey's working his 20 hours, he's getting a whole hell of a lot done. So talk to me about how you work those 20 hours.
Yeah, that's the key. One of the biggest principles in Happy Hustling is you have to prioritize each alignment equally, but focus on one at a time, right? So the alignment of impactful work, which, Jeff and I are doing, right? That's a very important alignment, but it's not more important or less important than loving relationships, time with my wife, right? Time with your kids, right? So what I see as the biggest problem is when people are at work, they're thinking about their family. And when they're with their family, they're thinking about work. They're not doing either effectively. So when I'm working, when I'm talking to Jeff, or when I'm creating content, or I'm writing copy, or I'm, doing whatever, business mastermind, like, I'm all there and I'm 100%, when I'm snowboarding, I'm all there, when I'm like selfless service and volunteering with the kids with special needs and teaching them how to ride horses, like, I'm all there. Yeah. Right. So it's like when I'm doing something, I'm fully present. And again, I'm not the guru. I don't claim to be. I just am the reporter of what's worked in my life, and really reassessing my presence in every moment is key. That's how discipline is created.
Yeah, but what I'm hearing you say is that if you have intentionally constructed and organized a life where all the boxes are checked, then when you're in any one of the boxes, you don't have to have that FOMO gear turning of like, well, I'm not getting enough time with my family, or, oh, I haven't been out in nature in 7 months, or like whatever the thing is, because you've taken the time methodically and intentionally and ahead of time to construct a life that has, as you term it, the 10 alignments, so you can be in any one of them and know that it's safe for the time being to put the other 9 aside and just focus on the one.
Yeah, you nailed it.
But it's an intentional life, not a reactive life.
Exactly. Yeah. Writing your own story, being very intentional with your time is like so crucial. And to your point, like scheduling your time, like knowing what's on your calendar and being very deliberate. Like, that's why I have this whole blissful balancer. I literally do it. I take my own medicine every Sunday. I assess where I'm out of balance in my 10 alignments. I take my own assessment, and then I prioritize change accordingly. So I can look at my life in real time and make pivots and adjustments and tweaks. And that has been such a game changer.
Yeah, you talk about the schedule. I think we talked about on your show how I'm really into like looking up the origins of words.
Yeah.
A lot of people that they talk about their schedule, and I ask to see it, and they're like, "Well, I just told it to you." So if you look up the root word of the word schedule, it's actually the Latin word schedula, which means a slip of paper. And the point is, it's not a schedule unless it's written down.
Yep.
Boom, there it is.
Well, I got my key 3. That's one thing I'll leave all the entrepreneurs. I have my schedule, and then I know the key 3 things. If I do only these 3 things today, it's a win. And so that's where I think, like, if you want to work less, but get more done, get clear on your most valuable tasks.
Do you do that every morning?
Every day. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that before. That's a powerful one.
Man, okay, we're out of time. How can the world come get more Cary Jack goodness?
Yeah. Well, first, check out the podcast Jeff and I did, because Jeff dropped hot fire on the mic. Truly. That was one of my favorite episodes, bro. Really.
Thank you.
So that I would say, check that out. And then, if you guys want to get the book, I'll do something special for your audience of entrepreneurs, because this is my people. If you get the book, if you go to thehappyhustlebook.com, it's like a free plus shipping. Literally, you get the book for free. You can get the audiobook version too, but thehappyhustlebook.com. If you pick up a copy of the book and you actually read the damn thing, send me a DM on Instagram at Cary__Jack and tell me your biggest takeaway. My assistant, I'm going to tell her, and she'll respond back with my Calendly link. Time is my most precious commodity. I'm going to give you 20 minutes of my time, zero prerogative, zero ulterior motive. But if you actually take the time to read the book, I want to help you happy hustle a life that you love, and I'll be of service however I can. So that's my give.
Man, that is fantastic. A free 20-minute coaching session or time spent with Cary Jack.
I call him a happy hustle huddle. So you get a
happy hustle huddle. And all you have to do is read an awesome book that's going to help you improve your life anyways.
Yeah, or listen to it. Get it on Audible. It's on there too. But I just want to serve, and I love entrepreneurs, and I know it's a tough road. It's a tough road. So I'm here to support, as Jeff is, and I just think it's important that we give back as much as we can. So I appreciate you all for watching and listening very much. And Jeff, thank you so much for having me, brother.
If you loved that episode, then you're definitely going to love this one. Check it out.
What's the difference between winning and losing? What's the separator between success and failure? What's the separator between being happy and sad? I believe it's one more. You're one decision away from changing your life. You are much closer than you think that you're one away.